Hello, everyone. I am really happy to be here today for more stories of inspiration and transformation from regular everyday people. And I'm super excited about Janie Sunshine Smalls. She is the self love doctor. Let me say that again, the self love doctor. And so Janie is a great friend of mine. She's become one of my best friends. She's also a client, and watching her transformation over the last few years has been absolutely inspiring. So here is Janie Sunshine Smalls. Hi, Janie.
Hi. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm so glad to have you with us because your story of transformation is, I think, a really relatable story. And I mean, we met about 7 or 8 years ago, and I have that picture of us in my backyard after that first walk we took, and we became, friends. And just, it's been a beautiful thing to watch you grow into the self-love doctor. So we'll talk more about that, but first, let's hear about your story. I want to hear your story. Like, where did you start and where are you now?
Okay. Okay. So, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really, really happy to be here and to be able to share um, part of my story. So, let me start from the beginning. So, I've always been a super tender-hearted person. I've always had a lot of love in my heart. It's just been part of who I am. And it makes me cry just
Oh, I
because
can.
it is.
That's what was so attractive to about you, is just your heart is so big.
Thank you. And it is, it really is. I always say that God gave me the gift of love and the gift of joy. So, anyway, I grew up in a wonderful family, and um, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous right now. I'm trying to calm myself down.
Just take a few deep
Take a
breaths.
deep breath.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's all
your
good.
family is wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I have a tender heart, a heart full of love, and my desire to help others is something that is ingrained deep within me, and my desire to um, see others happy is something that is also deeply ingrained in me. Would you like to hear a little bit more about where that led me?
That's exactly what I want to hear, because I know that that beautiful gift, sometimes our gifts can also end up being our curses, or the way I like to think of it is our biggest growing moments, right? So, yeah,
Yes.
this deep
So,
desire to serve, to love, for other people to be happy,
yeah.
it got a little extreme for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It did. So, where it started, I think, with wanting to see the joy in other people's faces and wanting to um, help them. Kind of morphed into people pleasing. And I started to connect or attach my self worth to other people's um, how they were feeling. Um, and if someone wasn't happy with me, or I perceived that they weren't happy with me, then I took that as um, I wasn't good. So I kind of took it to an extreme, and where I had that desire to make people happy, that's not possible.
No.
It's not
And that
realistic to
control.
think that. But that is where I was in that state of wanting to really do that. Now, that actually started when I was young, and I carried that with me for decades. I carried
So can you
that.
talk just a little bit about how that showed up for you? Like, give us an example of how that
Yeah.
showed up so that people can understand what that people pleasing, that desire to control other people in a good way.
Mhm.
You wanted them to be happy. That seems like a good thing.
Right, right. And yeah, it's a fine thing to want other people to be happy, but when it comes to the point of needing that to feel like I'm okay, um, I didn't really know how to I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't know what my boundaries were, and I didn't know what someone else's boundaries were. And so I would, there's a term that's coming to mind, and it's called enmeshment. And
Mm.
so enmeshment is where here I am, here's the other person, and this is enmeshment where we're kind of tied together. And the confusion of where I forgot which one, where do I end and the other person start? And getting super, super tight in an unhealthy way of tying my emotions and my self worth with them. So I'm trying to think of examples for that. I can think of um,
I was just going to say, I think that there's actually a word that we can call this. I think enmeshment is a great word, and codependency,
yes,
that concept
that
of
word.
codependency.
Yes. Yep. Codependency. And with codependency, there are different feelings that come up. For me, it was not feeling good enough, like not feeling like I was a good enough person, feeling like I had to be perfect and able to deserve someone else's love. Um,
I think there's probably so many people, Janie, who are watching this who can relate to feeling like you have to be perfect in order to be loved, feeling
right,
unlovable unless you're perfect. That is
right.
an extremely destructive component of our culture and our society. That
Hmm.
notion that perfection equals love and lack
Right,
of that equals no love.
right.
Yeah.
And I think also it leads to complete and utter exhaustion because trying to please everybody, because how it was for me, and I'm saying how it was for me, is if I can make everybody in my circle, everybody around me, if everybody around me is okay, then that means I'm okay. And if
Mhm.
they're not okay, then I'm not okay. And there's guilt and there's shame. And I put a lot of shame on myself, and it was very, very, very heavy. And where I tied my self-worth to someone else. And then, like I said before about perceiving, or maybe someone really was unhappy with me, but I think a lot of times it was just how I perceived things.
Mhm.
Shame is I did bad and I am bad. Guilt is I did bad, but I'm not bad. I made a mistake. And so I think that's another part. Maybe anyway, that's another thing that I really took on myself a lot was that codependency, that exhaustion, that shame, and also the other thing um, that was a very big thing for me was, and why I felt so exhausted, is because every day I would put on a mask. And I'm not talking like the masks that we're wearing right now. I'm talking about like putting on a figurative mask of, I'm great. I'm doing so awesome. Even when I wasn't, even when it felt like my life was falling apart or I was really struggling with something, but not wanting to let anyone know. And I
That.
think, I think that people could see past that mask, but I was so desperate to not let them. And um,
That mask is exhausting. And I remember, Janie, sometimes knowing you kind of wear your emotions pretty much on the outside. And sometimes, boy, I could tell that you did not feel good for some reason. And I wasn't sure why. But talk to Janie, Janie Sunshine. Janie's happy. Janie makes everything happy. Janie makes everything better. That that was your mask.
that was my mask. And that, I finally, wearing that day in and day out, there were times when I genuinely was happy and times when I genuinely felt good and things were really great. There were times when they weren't. And sometimes I was afraid, like, what would people think of me if they really knew me? If they really knew that I cry really hard sometimes and that I just want to give up sometimes and just feel totally worthless or feel like there's no way that I can be good enough and feeling less than. I was really afraid of that, Christina. That really was something that was really, really difficult for me. And so then I tried even harder to wear that mask and to make it even more enforceable. But when I would get home at night myself, then that mask would come off. And that's when I would lose it.
Because you were
And
yourself. It was just you.
mhm. So then it was safe because there wasn't anybody that I had to feel like I had to perform for. And I wasn't always performing, but there was plenty of times where it was part of the desire to be perfect.
Yeah. So
So
Janie, yeah, that's where you were.
yeah, that's
And
where I was.
that's where you were. And the transformation, especially over the last year, has been absolutely amazing. So let's start at the beginning of that transformation and just talk about some key influencers in that transformation, some key components to
Right,
where you are now as the self-love doctor. Because you just explained how you didn't love yourself at
right,
all.
right,
And other people's
right.
happiness was the most important thing to you, and you tried so hard to control that because that would give you worth.
Exactly.
And that's not you anymore. Let's talk about that.
No, that is not me anymore.
Yes,
Woohoo!
love it.
Yes, yes. It really okay. So, thank you for asking me that. I'm really glad that you asked me that. So, I actually got to a point where I just felt like my life was totally unmanageable. I felt like I didn't know who I was. I felt like I didn't fit. I felt misunderstood. It was just all that. It felt like things were falling apart. So, I started going to counseling, and that was the start of this journey. And um, I, I, oh gosh, I want to tell you the question that I was asked, but I also want to talk about. I'll tell you that in a second.
Yeah, tell us the question. Tell us the question, or
Okay.
keep going
Okay.
with your journey, because I know that this question is something that it has been pivotal in everything that you're building now.
Yes.
Wait for
Yes.
just a second.
Okay.
Ah,
Okay. So
okay.
here's the question. So I sat there in that office and she asked me, Janie, what would it look like if you were to love and approve of yourself? And I sat there and I looked around and it's like I was looking for the answer. And I was thinking, what is the right answer? I don't know what she wants me to say. What am I supposed to say? I don't know what the right answer is. And that was panicky for me because I wanted to be right. I wanted to know what the answer was.
You want to be perfect.
I wanted to be perfect, and I wanted to look good in her eyes. And so that question, that was
Say
the
it one more
start.
time. One more time.
What would it look like if you were to love and approve of yourself?
Can we
What
just
would that look like?
let's just take a minute and let that sink in. I want everybody to ask themselves that question.
I'm going to ask it one more time.
Yeah.
What would it look like if you were to love and approve of yourself? What would it feel like? Really go deep inside and ask yourself that.
Yeah. That's a good journaling question.
Mm-hmm.
Spend some time journaling on that, my friends. That will be such a revealing question for you. And that question changed your life.
It did change my life.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. In that office that day, when I realized that I had no idea what that looked like, I came home and I went in my room and I started to cry again. And I believe in God. And I asked him if he would please help me, but I didn't know what it looked like. And what I learned that day was, okay, I can help you to find out what it looks like, but you got to give yourself a break. Like, cut yourself a break already. And so, what my answer for the very beginning was to be nice to myself, to show love to myself, to be compassionate to myself, just like I am to every other person. What I'm giving to other people, to give it to myself. So that was so pivotal for me. So it's not about trying to be perfect and trying to do everything exactly right. It's about letting myself be me. And so that led me, yes, talk to yourself like you would to someone you love. Exactly. So starting with that and discovering that I needed to be kind to myself and not expect perfection. I worked on that and worked on that. And I actually also looked into the work of Albert Ellis, and he teaches about RET, rational emotive behavior therapy. That was extremely helpful for me. Extremely helpful for me to be able to to learn more about myself and how to regulate my emotions and my behavior. That was really helpful.
So
Okay.
you all set up some framework for like the massive shifts that you've made in the last 10 months.
Right.
You
Yes.
were ready for what was coming in 2020. And I mean all the good stuff.
Yes. Yes. So, okay. Let's see. I think it was I asked myself, I was sitting on my couch and I thought, I wonder, because I was starting to understand what it looked like to love myself. And um I wondered what it would look like to be my own friend. So I had an experiment. I went in the bathroom. I looked at myself in my eyes with the kindest eyes that I could, like I would to a friend that really needed me and my kindness. And I gazed in my eyes and I said, Janie, I love you. And I cried. And then I said, I'm so glad we're finally friends. And so so now no matter where I am, whether I'm in a group of people or I'm by myself, I am comfortable with me. So I've always got a buddy with me. That might sound a little cheesy, but that's okay because I am my own friend and I like that. So,
So
and I
you
remember at
had,
the beginning of this,
oh, go ahead.
At the beginning of this year, I remember talking to you actually, and I said, "This year is my year. This is it. This is my year. I feel it." And
Yeah.
so, and it has been.
What happened this year? Just pretty briefly, because I definitely want to talk about self-love doctor. So just a few milestones this year.
Okay, okay. So actually, I was introduced to Be Legacy, and that was a very beneficial thing for me to be able to learn even more about loving myself. My marriage has improved. How I see myself obviously has improved. I've had people that have come into my life that have blessed me greatly and have helped me even more to see who I am at my core. And with that, I was encouraged by a friend to start a group, and it's called the Self Love Doctor Group.
And that,
And
guys, is in the beginning of this Facebook Live. So the Self-Love Doctor Facebook page.
yep,
Yeah. This page, from the beginning, Janie, you have had massive user engagement on this page. I mean, you've got like a lot of members. People are posting all the time. I follow that page and so much engagement. So obviously, this message is really resonating with people. Really,
yeah.
talk to us about the how this message is resonating with people, and like that right there is so inspirational. So what would you call people to do?
You know what? What I would call, so that group is fantastic. I love it. I love the involvement, and actually, I learned from that too. So it's fantastic. It's a wonderful. I think we're becoming a wonderful tribe. What I would say is, what would it look like for you to love and approve of yourself? Really ask yourself that question. And what would it look like if you were your own friend? What would that look like? What would it feel like? I think those are powerful questions. I know they were for me, and it set me on this amazing journey of discovery. And as I learned to love myself more and in a more healthy way, my interactions and love for others is so beautiful. And it's a pure love. It's not the barter type of love. I'll give you this if you give me that. It's more of a I see me and I see you and you're beautiful. So it is fantastic.
It's so powerful. And the love that radiates from you, Janie, is so inspiring. And it just makes the world so much brighter, just like your nickname, Sunshine. You are a ray of sunshine in this world. And the love that you have for yourself that allows you to love other people on such a deep and pure and whole level, exactly where they are. No
Right,
expectation,
right.
no no prerequisites. You
Mhm.
love people, and because you love yourself, you can love them on a grander scale. You are inspiring, and I am so glad that we could chat today. And my friends watching this, if you want to know more about Janie, and I'm sure you do, I'm sure she resonated with a lot of you, go to the Self Love Doctor Facebook page, and it's in the links. And Janie, I love you, girl. Oh wait, there's
Thank you
one
too.
thing. You know, as we're talking, I'm like, dang, she'd make a really good coach. Have
Oh,
I
that's
told you
awesome.
that before?
Actually, funny you should ask. I actually am so excited because I am right now in the process of receiving my certification. And so I'm so excited about that. I feel so good about that because I'm inspired by the the struggles that I've gone through. I actually think of them as opportunities, and I see them with so much gratitude because they've all helped me to get to where I am right now, and I'm very grateful for them. So then it puts me in a position to where with a deep desire to help others to experience this. So yeah, I'm on my way. I am a coach.
You
So
are a coach, Janie. I feel like you coached me today just in having this conversation. I am inspired by you, and you know that I love you.
Thank you, Chris. I love you too.
Janie Smalls is the self-love doctor, so go check out her page, and we'll see you all next week.
All right. Love you.
Love you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.